Hello there. My name is Felicia and I am representing the New Zealand Cybersecurity team. In this brief presentation, we will identify current measures for authentication, authorization, and access control. We will also go over the vulnerability matrix, which delineates various attack vectors and their respective countermeasures. We ask that all questions be held until the end. Thank you for your time and attention. Cyber risk assessment identifies assets that could be affected by a cyber attack. It identifies the risk that could affect those assets. When a risk assessment is completed, risks are rated so they can be prioritized and have mitigation plans created accordingly. Access control functions to identify an individual who does a specific job, authenticate the individual, and gives the individual the key to the door, access to the workstation or files that they need, and nothing more. Here, we discuss three types of access controls: discretionary access control, mandatory access control, and role-based access control. Discretionary access control gives user full control over all the programs it owns and executes and also sets the permissions for who can access those files and programs. Mandatory access control is used when confidentiality and privacy is top priority. The administrator alone manages the access controls. Role-based access control is when access is assigned based on the subject's role. Two-factor authentication is a more secure method for access control. To have access, one must show credentials and a second factor to verify identity. This could be an access code, a PIN, or a biometric reading. There are three factors that can be used for authentication: something only known to the user, such as a password or a PIN; something that is part of the user, such as a fingerprint, retina scan, or another biometric measurement; and the third, something that belongs to the user, such as a card or a key. Authorization is the process of granting or denying access to a network's resources based on the user's access levels. The system administrator defines which users are allowed access and the privileges of use. Cybersecurity vulnerabilities are regularly the result of human behavior, mostly the failure to comply with general security policies and procedures coupled with being careless. End users who violate security policies are oftentimes easily fooled by social engineering attacks. Common examples of cyber weaknesses caused by human error are leaving laptops in unlocked cars, clicking on phishing emails, using weak passwords, and losing credentials. There is a growing concern for weaknesses in an organization's security regarding its technology. These vulnerabilities enable successful exploitations. With outdated technology, whether sitting around in a back room or being used, it is an invitation for criminals to exploit due to insufficient protection against attack. Not having backups is another concern in that it can increase system downtime and outages during emergencies, which can also lead to ransomware attacks, among others. TCP/IP applications and protocols, HTTP, FTP, SNMP, SMTP, TCP, IP, and DNS can be exploited due to limitations that exist in the protocols. Other technology security weaknesses include authentication weaknesses, firewall holes, not changing default passwords or lack of strong passwords requirement on network devices, and user interface weaknesses. Security policy weaknesses can create unforeseen security threats. It is integral for organizations to have a security policy that mandates how the network or company information should be used. When users do not follow said policy, it creates network risk. Security weaknesses emerge when there is no clear-cut or written security policy document. The New Zealand security team developed an easy-to-follow vulnerability assessment matrix to categorize current and emerging vulnerabilities while identifying and illustrating threats associated with the newly implemented network. The vulnerability matrix is used to assess the amount of damage that can occur from certain threats. Here we have high risk impact colored as red, low impact colored green, while medium risk impact is colored yellow. As noted by the vulnerability matrix, vulnerabilities have been categorized as passive or active. The corresponding threat is listed in addition to mitigation recommendations. Website and user credentials vulnerabilities is categorized as passive and having low impact. The threats are app programs and weak passwords, with their respective countermeasures being to control password resets and password management. For additional information on assessing the effects of the identified threats, please refer to the Vulnerability Assessment Matrix.